What's up, guys? Today we're talking about maybe one of the coolest IV tricks I've seen out there. But what we're going to do, we're going to put it to the test and we're going to see, does it make you a better IV starter? Let's get into it. All right, guys. So in prior videos, we talked about how to make you the best IV starter possible. We went through all the steps, we did all the things, and now hopefully you're getting better. But I came across a cool trick and I wanted to put it to the test and see, could this make you even better? Could this make this more fail-proof than before? So what I did is I made an example here of a large IV, and we're going to use this as a vessel just to talk about what the premise is. So this is basically, you're just taking your bevel, which we know when we talk about a bevel, it's supposed to be facing upright. Okay. So what I saw in this was, if you take the bevel and flip it down, it's supposed to help eliminate one of the main problems people have with IVs, which is what? Blowing IVs. So basically what they're saying is, if we were to take this bevel, the principle of this is, usually bevel is here. What we're going to do, let's take a closer look at it here. So if this is your vessel here, we have a cutaway of the vessel top here. So in a traditional sticking style, you're going to have this bevel up. You're going to come from the side and you're going to pierce through the top. If this were the other side, we would come like this and we would pierce down through here. But if we're able to take a look inside of it, as we pierce down through sometimes, what happens? You pierce through, your angle's kind of steep, so. And what happens? You end up coming through the back. And what happens then? Well, it's blown because everything's going to leak out of here. So what the trick is here, if we flip the bevel and we come down at roughly the same angle, we still pierce down through the top. But when we hit the bottom of this vessel, it's supposed to slide through instead of actually piercing through the wall. So old style, you're coming this way, you hit, and it sticks or pierces because it's sharp right there, right? It's got a sharp end. So if we were to flip it and just kind of mock, if we were to pierce through the top and we go here, I can't move it anymore, right? I come through, can't move it anymore. But if I flip it and I come through here, look, slides through, come through, slides through. And this extra little bevel end, when it hits the surface, it's supposed to glide through. Now, pretend this was magnified here. Look at this. This is our vessel. Let's just pretend as though we're actually kind of able to see it up close in the body version of what happens here. Normal, bevel up. Somebody comes along. Let's say we just kind of stick at a generic 45-degree angle. They poke, they go through, but they don't necessarily tip their needle angle back because really and truly, they don't necessarily know when they've actually pierced that vessel. We're using our best guess, but sometimes that's all we have. So let's just say they didn't lift. Now I can't move this any further. So this is kind of a too big of a version to say this is just like in person. A lot of times these needles are so sharp, they've gone through the back. Here you can see where mine is already kind of barely tipped the edge through. All a little bit of pressure would take is that thing's through, and you are dunzos right there, okay? So let's just say that we are using this new technique. Let's flip the bezel so it's facing downward. Ideally, it's going to glide across the bottom of the vessel after we pierce it. So let's say we come at the same rough angle. So we're coming here, piercing through, I'm using the same amount of pressure here as I did before, but yet, look, it's continuing to go. I have not pierced anything, and I could feel it sliding. Now I've got my finger on the bottom. I'm not pierced through anywhere. If we were to take this open, you kind of see where we're at here. Look, it just fell out, which means it's not stuck in the bottom of the wall. So basically, I could have just kept advancing, and look, we have a needle that's in the vessel, has not pierced anything. You know, so far, I like it. It's looking very promising. So what we're gonna do today, we're gonna put this through the test. We're gonna see, does this actually even work, or is this just kind of a gimmick to get people's attention? So let's get into it. Let's do some practical sticking, and we're gonna put it on several different gauges of IVs just so we can rule out, is this real or is this fake? So let's get into it. All right, so what we've got is the artificial vein and artificial blood. So Wendy's gonna stick an IV as if she was inexperienced and she doesn't know when to lift the tip of the bevel up. She's gonna stick it upside down, so that way, hopefully, we'll see if the bevel slides through the vessel without puncturing the back, and ultimately makes the stick a lot easier for you. So if she goes through the back, hopefully we'll see it drip out onto the paper towel, and you'll know when that happens. So let's see what she's got here. Well, it looks like a pretty successful slide. The needle's all the way in, which is not something we would normally do. So what we'll do here is let's repeat it at that same angle and then see if she pierces through the back with the same angle on a regular bevel. So same angle, but this is more with the bevel facing up, just like you traditionally would here. And see if it pierces through the back. Or does it continue to travel through just like the other? So that one did the same thing. So no real difference here in my opinion. She was using a super low angle, which I think it's just gonna depend on the person sticking. So, all right, what we're gonna do is let's try a different size needle, and let's try a little steeper angle next time and see if that makes a difference. All right, so what we've got here, we've got an 18 gauge instead of 20. And this time we're gonna try our upside down bevel flip and see with a little bit more angle, does it make a difference that way? So that's the first entrance. Oh, right out the back. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, well, that proves some of that theory. So smaller gauge needle. This time we're going to use our trick. We're going to flip it upside down, going about the same angle as the 18 gauge. And let's see, there's the first entrance. You saw that kind of flash through. Oh, look at there. Slid all the way through without having any puncture out the back. Okay, let's try and see if we can do it the same angle with a regular bevel facing up, just like you normally would. Try to get this blood right back to the same hole-ish area. All right. There it goes. And now, oh, I see it coming out the back. So if we roll that over, you can see where it's come out the back completely now. Taking the paper towel with us. Okay, so I've got kind of mixed reviews on it. In some instances, it's worked better than our regular, and in some it's not. One thing I feel like I noticed, and I don't know if you did, but as far as it looked like it was pushing the top of the vessel, trying to have a hard time getting into the top. It didn't pierce as well. Kind of bunched the vessel up at first. And all right, so I'm gonna take a few swings just to get a second person, just to see if it makes a difference in my eyes. I'm gonna try to use my thumb as my angle. So just like I would hold the vessel tight any other way, I'm gonna try to do that here too. I've got it tight, and I'm gonna just use about the angle of what my thumb would be sitting at here. So I'm gonna just take here, and I'm gonna insert, and I pop. If I try to keep going here, Oh, out the back side. No good for me on that one. That's just a regular bevel facing up. Now, without doing too much resetting, I'm just gonna flip it over, and then I'm gonna use bevel side down now. I'm right sitting on my thumb just like I was before. The needle kind of skips across, so I have a hard time piercing initially. It pops. Now, I'm just gonna try to push it forward. And I'm not piercing it, but I can feel it scrubbing the bottom, but I'm also not poked through the backside. So, I mean, I can't dispute that. That seems to be kind of a win in that book. Let's switch needle sizes and let's go with a big gauge, okay? So, what we're gonna do, sit it here, kind of insert right in that same area. Ooh, we got a bleeder. So I'm in, and if I just keep advancing, and out the back we go. Drip, drop out the back. All right, I'm gonna try to pull this down just a little bit, just to get away from all the dripping. All right, I'm gonna flip it, bevels down, sitting right on top of my thumb, just so we can be as comparative as before. So, hard time piercing, but we're in. Now, if I just run, kind of stuck here. There it went out the back. So, no bueno on that one. All right, so last one for me. We're gonna use a small gauge. This is 22. I'm gonna sit it right on the perch of my thumb here. I'm gonna pierce just with a normal bevel up, old school style. And then, oh, went too far, pierce the back, just like we imagined we would. All right, let's move up just a hair. Let's go bevel down this time. And there we go. Now if I just kind of keep pushing at that same angle, out the back I go. So I can't say that I see this winning in anything. Yes, it worked once or twice, but ideally, I don't necessarily say I would use this at all. I think one thing that if you could see it on the camera, if we use whatever size, it doesn't really matter. One thing we talked about in our IV video is the pop. You'll feel that pop. If you see this needle tip, you see how it pushes down in and boom. I can feel that. You can see it here. This is not something you could see normally. Just remember when you're doing it, just when you feel that pop, go a hair further, and then you drop your end down, and then you're gonna kick in your IV catheter, and boom, look at all that blood. Beautiful. All right, so that finishes us up. I don't see this as being any benefit. I think if you learn how to start IVs just like regular, I think you'll be better and better. I don't foresee this making you any better of an IV starter. So in my book, myth busted. I don't think it's any good. I would not try that at home. And you saw what we did. Yes, it worked every once in a while, but every once in a while is not what we want to do. We want to become good IV starters, and I think we should stick with what we've got. So until we find another cool trick that works, we'll stick with what we got. Appreciate you guys coming out. We'll see you on the next round. Thank you.